Welcome to English as a Second Language podcast, number 54. You're listening to English as a Second Language podcast, number 54. I'm Dr. Jeff McQuillan from the Center for Educational Development here in beautiful Los Angeles, California. Today's podcast is going to be about talking to your professor or your teacher. Let's get started. Come in.
Hi, Dr. McQuillan. I'm Julie Taylor. I'm in your 2 o'clock class on Thursdays.
Hi, Julie. Have a seat. What can I do for you?
I wanted to come see you during office hours because I missed class last week. I had a family emergency.
I'm sorry to hear that. We went over a lot of material, so make sure you get the notes from another student in class.
Thanks, I will. Did you give any assignments?
Yes, I assigned an essay on the topics in Chapter 3 of your textbook.
Oh, I see. Are there guidelines for the essay?
Yes, it should be 8 to 10 pages, and it's due in 2 weeks. Take a look at your syllabus. It has more details.
I will. Thanks a lot. I've also been meaning to talk to you about the trouble I'm having keeping up in class. I'm having trouble understanding the lectures. Is there anything you would suggest?
Some students tape record the lectures and listen to them afterwards. That seems to help.
That's a great idea. I'll definitely try that. I'm wondering if you give extra credit in your class.
No, I don't give extra credit assignments. But if you're worried about passing, there are still 2 more tests to pull up your grade.
Yes, I'll study hard for those. Thanks a lot for your time.
No problem. See you in class.
Okay, Professor McQuillan. See you Thursday.
We just listened to a conversation between a professor and a student. The conversation began with the student knocking on the door of the office, and I said, "Come in." That's the expression we use when we want someone to enter into a room, come in. The student, Julie, then introduces herself and tells me which class she's in. She says, "I'm in your 2 o'clock class," meaning I'm in your class, your course that begins at 2 o'clock. I tell her to have a seat. To have a seat means please sit down. If someone says have a seat, it's a little informal, but you'll hear it in many different situations. Have a seat. Please sit down. Same expression. Julie said she wanted to come and talk to me during my office hours. At the university, a professor teaches his or her classes, and then he or she has to be available to talk to students. And most universities have their professors keep regular office hours, meaning they'll be in their office certain number of hours every week. It varies. Different universities have different requirements. The universities I've taught in, I usually had to be in my office at least 5 to 6 hours per week, which isn't very much. Of course, I worked more than that, but my office hours are times in which students can come and talk to me about whatever problem they have. This student said that she had missed class last week. To miss class means not to go to class, not to be in the class. We use that expression for anything that we were supposed to go to or were going to go to and didn't, usually because of some problem that we had. So, for example, I missed seeing that movie last night. I wanted to see it, but I forgot. The student said that she had a family emergency. The expression a family emergency or a personal emergency means that she had some serious problem related to something or someone in her family. It's a very general expression that students sometimes give professors as a reason for their not being in class. It could be a death in the family. It could be other problems that people have. That expression, a family emergency, also is used in businesses. In a business, if you say, I have a family emergency and I need to go home right now, it means there's some medical or other problem that you have to take care of. I said to the student that we in class went over a lot of material. To go over something means to talk about it, to discuss it, to teach about it. You can use that expression for a classroom, or you can use that expression for any information that you are explaining to someone else. Let me go over the instructions for using this computer means let me talk about it, let me discuss it. I said we went over a lot of material. At the university or in any school, when a teacher or professor talks about material, they are talking about information. A lot of material means a lot of information. Material, of course, also can be something physical, but here it means information. I suggested to Julie, the student, that she get the notes from another student. In other words, she should talk to another student who took notes, that is, who wrote down information that I discussed in class, so she can study for it later or use it for her exam or whatever she needs to use it for. Julie asked me if I had given any assignments in class. An assignment, of course, you probably know, is homework or something that students have to do as part of their class. I said that I had assigned, and notice the verb for assignments is assign. I assigned an essay on the topics in Chapter 3 of the textbook. An essay, of course, is a usually long composition or piece of writing that students do in school to explain and to demonstrate that they know the subject. A textbook in a school is a book of information that about a particular topic that we use in class. Sometimes we just say the texts of a class. What text are you using means what textbook or what book are you using for your class. Julie asked me if there were any guidelines for the essay. Guidelines, all one word, means instructions or rules for, suggestions to follow. The guidelines are the basic way in which a professor wants you to do something. For example, you need to talk about 3 different sources of information. That would be a guideline. Guidelines are for not just school. You have guidelines. There are guidelines in business and in government. They're kind of like rules that you have to follow, a guideline. I told Julie that the essay was due in 2 weeks. That means she has to give it to me. We would use the expression to hand in. To hand in means to give, usually a teacher, your assignment. When we say it's due, D-U-E, we mean that's when it has to be handed in or given. We can also use the expression to turn in. To turn in is the same as to hand in or to give someone. We use all of those expressions in a school or university. I suggested that Julie look at her syllabus. A syllabus is a piece of paper, usually several pieces of paper, that describe what the course or the class is and what the assignments are and what the readings or the things that they have to read each week. Most American universities require that professors give their students a 3 to 5 page outline of everything they are going to do in the class. And it is required by most universities. I'm teaching a class, for example, right now, and I have to have a syllabus that says what we are going to do every week. Julie says that she had been meaning to talk to me. The expression to be meaning to means that you were planning on it, that you were expecting to do something, but that you haven't done it yet for whatever reason. So you can say, I've been meaning to see that movie. Means I've been hoping to see it, I've been planning to see it, but I haven't actually gone to see it yet. Often because you don't have time or whatever the reason is. Julie says she had been meaning to talk to me about trouble that she is having keeping up in class. To keep up means to be able to do the work, all the work that is required in a class. We use the expression to keep up to mean the opposite of to fall behind. To fall behind means, for example, you are supposed to hand in or turn in your essay on Tuesday, but you do not turn it in until Friday. You've fallen behind. The other students are ahead of you because they have done their work on time. So to keep up means to be the same as the other students in terms of their studying and doing the work for the class. You can keep up in school. You can keep up with someone else in any area or in any job. It just means to be able to do what everyone else is doing. Julie said she was having trouble understanding the lectures. To have trouble, I'm having trouble, means I'm having problems. I have problems. Understanding the lectures. The lecture, of course, is when a professor or a teacher stands up in front of the class and explains something to them for a long period of time. I suggested that Julie tape record the lectures and that she listen to them afterwards. Afterwards is the same as later, at a later time. And we can use those two words, later or afterwards. Usually they mean the same thing. When you say afterwards, you really mean after a certain time or after a certain event. Julie asked me if I gave extra credit in the class. Extra credit in American schools and universities, anyway, is when the teacher gives an extra assignment that students can do so they can make up for perhaps a test that they did not do very well at. They can improve their grade by doing extra credit. It's not an assignment they have to do, but if they want to get more points for a higher grade, they can do it. Not every teacher or not every professor gives students the opportunity to do extra credit because it's more work for the professor, quite frankly, quite honestly. I told Julie that if she was worried about passing, there would be 2 more tests to pull up her grade. To pass a class or to pass a test, of course, means to be successful, to get a grade that is considered acceptable. To pull up your grade means to improve your grade, to increase your grade. And that's a common expression in schools. I need to pull up my grades means I need to get better grades. So you need to study more. At the end of the conversation, Julie said, "Okay, Professor McQuillan, see you Thursday," meaning I will see you on Thursday. Notice that Julie calls me Dr. McQuillan and Professor McQuillan. At the university in the United States, anyone who has a PhD or a doctorate degree can be called doctor. Anyone who teaches at a university can be called a professor. Not all university professors are doctors, although most doctors are also professors. So we use both of those terms. Even though I'm not a medical doctor, we also call a medical doctor doctor. It's still common to have those with a PhD to call them doctor. That's going to do it for today's ESL podcast. Email us and let us know who you are and where you are listening from. Our email address is eslpod@eslpod.com. From Los Angeles, this is Jeff McQuillan. We'll see you next time on ESL Podcast. ESL Podcast is produced by the Center for Educational Development in Los Angeles, California. This podcast is copyright 2005.